Hey, this is Mike from Minimal 3DP, and today I'm working on my Sovol SV08. I'm going to work on doing a first print as well as doing the initial calibration. And with that being said, there'll probably be several calibration videos because I want these to be about 10 or 15 minutes a piece, really bite-sized. Now, one of the big things I want this printer for is it's fast. I do a lot of STEM outreach with kids, and I like to do a lot of print and place toys. And again, this printer is probably going to give me a good opportunity to make some toys and some little handouts I can give to kids. So with that being said, let's switch over to the printer and get it all configured. I've already loaded filament into the printer, and I'm basically going to take that out and start over again. I just want to point out something interesting. I put in some red filament, and if you can see this, I have a tiny little bit of filament that came out. There's the red, but there's also white on the bottom. And what that tells me is Sovol actually ran some filament through the print head as part of their QC/QA, which I feel pretty good about. Before I begin, I'm going to print with this EryOne Silk Rainbow PLA. And normally I wouldn't calibrate a printer with this, but this is the filament I really want to use to make my models and toys. I want to point out the awesome colors that are here. Now, EryOne was nice enough to send me 3 rolls of filament. And because I do STEM outreach, I'm going to use this filament to send to the kids. So again, thank you to them. And I'll come back in the middle of the video and just talk about the filament really quickly. So with that being said, let's get started. I'm going to start off by heating the printer. Now, in my case, I really don't like to use the little screen. I'm just going to connect via the web interface. I've heated the printer, as you can see, to 220. I have the filament loaded. And I'm just going to start off by homing the printer. And so we'll home it, get it all set up in the middle. And then I'm actually going to switch over and take a look at the interface or the little screen on the printer. And we're going to run some functionality through there. Now, this printer is actually pretty neat how it handles Z-Offset. And something I actually want to see if I can implement in some of my other printers. I really enjoy how this helps me configure the printer. So let's switch the camera and go and take a look at the screen. So we're looking at the screen, and for those of you that have commented on one of my previous videos, I did clean the screen first because apparently I'm bad with not noticing fingerprints. I'm going to hit the button on the screen and go down to leveling and then select calibrate Z-Offsets. Now what this will do is it's heating the bed and it's going to heat the nozzle up. I think maybe it's 150. I can't actually remember. Or maybe it's not even going to heat the nozzle up. We'll have to see. It's heating the bed right now to 65. Let me back out a little bit so we can see the whole printer. So there we're looking at the screen, the print head. Let's let this heat up and we'll come back in a minute. It's finished heating, and now it's starting with quad bed leveling. And what that is it probes the corners and then adjusts the gantry because it's a flying gantry so that it's level. Now it's going to start with that. And where things are interesting with this printer is they're using macros to accomplish this. It's actually going to do the whole Z-Offset automatically, again, via those macros. So it's starting off testing the corners, and then once it finishes the corners, it'll actually do a small mesh in the center of the bed. So let's give this a minute, and then we'll come back once it starts in the middle of the bed. Once it did finish the quad gantry level, it's now heating the nozzle up to 200. So the bed's at 65, nozzle at 200. And again, what it's going to wind up doing is probing the center of the bed. And then there's actually a model built into the printer, already configured in the G code, that will print to test the leveling that it's set up. And then based on the look of the model, I'll be able to make some judgments on how I need to move the bed up or down. Now, I'll apologize because the fans on the printer are loud. One of the changes I plan to make down the road is to change the print head maybe to a stealth burner and a quieter fan. Now, I'm just going to point out the manual here. It's doing this shape here, so it's doing basically 5 circles. Those 5 circles, depending on their look, are how good the bed is level, or better yet, the gantry's level. Now, one of the mistakes I made looking at the manual is I expected it to use the whole bed. Instead, if you look, it's really just probing in the center of the bed, and the shape it'll use will be in the center. So it's not doing necessarily the whole bed. It's really doing the area of the bed that I'm most likely to print on. So far, I haven't done any really big prints. One of the things I do want to do with this EryOne Silk Rainbow filament is maybe do some small dragons that I can give kids and just different cool colors. One of the things I love about 3D printing is the ability to get kids involved with science, technology, engineering, and math. And particularly for me, I live in a rural area, and I'm a firm believer that a lot of STEM jobs can give you opportunities to work from home, telecommute, and also, in a lot of cases, those are really good paying jobs. And if we can work with kids and inspire them to, I guess, get a good job and make a good living, that's something that I guess makes me feel good. I'm never going to be a rich man, but as I tell most of my students, I really want them to get a kick-ass job that I'm jealous of. So as you can see, it's doing this small model, and it's probably about a 6x6 model in the center of the bed. It does a boundary around the model, and then it'll print the circles. Now, it's a little hard to see from this camera angle. Let me see if I can rearrange the camera a little bit so you can see it better. Hey, this is Mike again, and I want to just take a moment to thank EryOne for sending me some filament to test. Right now, I'm working with their Silk Rainbow PLA, and I got to say, I'm really enjoying this. In fact, this isn't even a roll they sent me. This is a roll I bought myself, and I plan on keep on buying these. The Silk Rainbow PLA does an awesome job with models, and I think I've mentioned to people I do toys for kids for STEM outreach, and here's a little elephant I did with the filament. It looks awesome. So I just want to again thank them for sending me the filament. It means a lot. And this filament will be used to share 3D printing with kids. So there's about our angle. And as you can see, it's doing those little circles here. Now, if I look at these, I maybe need to baby step it up just a tiny little bit. Now, I'm going to go over and do the baby stepping via the web interface because it's easier for me to see. And I am moving this up 0.005. Let's see what that does. I might need to bump it up just the same amount again. Now, what's interesting is this printer will actually shut down once it's finished and restart because it's saving that Z-offset. Now, all those circles look pretty good to me. And let's see if I could zoom in on one of them so you can see a little bit better. You can see it look pretty dang good. And I think for first layer, I'm pretty pleased with that. That looks like it'll be good. Now, I noticed on this printer, it does do a purge line up at the front of the printer. So there's purge line. that may be something I want to change down the line, particularly if I do adaptive bed mesh. We'll have to see. Now, I also noticed here in the corner, it does a drop of filament, which I think is a little weird, but I think it's purging. Now, it's purging there, but on this printer, they also have a thing to clean the nozzle here in the back. Now, what I can do is just peel this up. You could sort of see it. And I don't think it looks bad. I actually think that looks pretty good. So that is the process you go through to do this initial print. And as I mentioned, it's literally already turned off and turned the printer back on. And when it's done that, it saved the Z offset. Now, the layer I'm seeing looks really good. It saved that initial mesh, so that's in memory. And now all I need to do is save. Well, I don't need to save anything. I basically just need to clean the bed. And what I'm going to do is do a little print in place model. And maybe I'll do a little bit tougher one. Now, I still have some more optimizations to go on this printer. I haven't looked at flow rates or extrusion multipliers or any of that yet, and I'll go over those in future videos. But let me do a small print in place elephant that the kids seem to like, and we'll also see how good the filament handles that and how it looks, and then we'll come right back after it's done printing. And then I'll wrap up. So again, give me a couple minutes and we'll be right back. So as you can see, the model's finished. And overall, I'm really pleased with this. Now, you might say, hey, there's some stuff on the back here. That's actually part of the model and just the way it's put together. Now, overall, with considering that I just did bed leveling and haven't done any other optimizations, this is really good. If you look through, you can see through the eye here. And it doesn't look like there's much stringing. Overall, this really looks good. Now, I'm also going to point out that normally I don't use Silk PLA as part of my tuning process, but I'm actually really pleased with the way that came out as well, and I love this color. And I think particularly giving this to kids, it's a rainbow color. If I add some more different prints, I'll probably get that tricolor rainbow effect on the taller stuff. And that's something, again, kids will really enjoy. And surprisingly, some of their parents will grab some models as well. But again, overall, really pleased with the way this printer is printing. I'm also pleased with the EryOne Silk Rainbow PLA that was sent to me. And I can't speak enough about how easily that printed. I just used the default profile that I tuned just a little bit from the standpoint of changing the layer widths and layer thicknesses. I did not change speeds or anything else. And this again just came out almost perfectly. I love the look and feel of the model. And I think I'm going to stick with the silk filament here since that's typically a little tougher to print, and continue to use this roll just to do all the tuning and all that good stuff. Again, thank you to EryOne for sending me the filament to test. I couldn't be more pleased with it. In fact, I've already noted down which color filament this is so I can purchase it. I'm also going to put a link to their shop in my video description. If anybody has any questions or comments on either the filament or the Sovol SV08, just put a comment down below. So again, thank you for your time. Hope you have a great night. Bye-bye.